use our platforms to flip the status quo and be real about what life is like.
You wanna be just like me. You wanna see.
Hi, I'm Nikki Rich, the host of the Nikki Rich Show. Excited and honored to be here, and excited to talk with you, Jackson. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
So good, so excited. 1660 Vine, a masterpiece, and
Thank
you
you.
made it happen.
Thank you. Thank you so
Yes, I'm,
much.
I'm so excited. So, first off, tell me, what was the inspiration behind 1660 Vine?
So it starts with a story based on like a real apartment building, a lot like 1660 Vine. It's actually right down the
Mhm.
street, same street. I was so interested in this phenomenon that was essentially people moving from all around the country and eventually all around the world to this one apartment building in LA. And what you saw in real life was what these characters do in the movie, which is they collaborate, they build their brands, they do content. They're making deals with sponsors. So, that's like kind of the place where the story begins in real life. And it was so interesting because I was like, okay, that might be that might be seen as the new path to fame by a lot of people.
It
And it
is.
feels more accessible than like being an actor in a Hollywood movie. So I think that was the initial inspiration.
It was so amazing because, being here in Hollywood, we all can relate. Being a transplant myself, I'm a Carolina girl, and I
Yeah.
saw you
I
graduated
I
from
went to Duke, so there you go.
Duke.
There you go.
Yeah.
A lot of things because I didn't know what kinds of stories I wanted to tell. So I was studying theater, journalism, English, literature, film and television. I was all over the place. Um, and and it really came to like this moment at Duke where I looked around and I had so many talented friends at school, the composers and storytellers all around the school. And I thought, okay, well, I think the best way for me to tell this story about influencers living in a building together in Los Angeles is through the stage, is doing it as a musical. And I'm really happy I made that choice because I think that is still the most powerful way to tell that story, so that audiences from all generations can respond to it. What was really interesting about this process was we were going to do it for the stage. It was going to be a stage musical. And then COVID
Okay.
happened. And and when COVID happened, we were sort of forced to look in different directions because COVID forced us all to. And fortunately, we were able to connect with some really amazing, mentors of this project and people who came out of this project from other generations outside of my own and really breathe new
Mhm.
life into it. So that's how we got, Patricia McGregor and Paula Abdul and David Lawrence and Faye Greenberg and these really heavy hitters. And additionally, some producers who knew how to tell stories like this. How do you tell an indie, brand new original movie musical on screen to then get people to get excited about it on stage again? So these producers had a great model. And now what's great is the movie, you can go watch it on Amazon Prime. But in addition, you can go license
Yeah.
it from MTI and do it as a stage show. So the whole process, is really me reliant on a lot of just amazing friends and mentors and, and people who just kind of carried what I had thought was a really important story to the finish line. So what I love about the story is that it starts with, a group of young people in practice rooms on a college campus, just like telling this story all together. And, it was
Mhm.
myself and a bunch of my good friends from Duke and us just, writing these songs together, telling these stories with these different characters, coming up with, this and while I had sort of had the idea of like the story, I really relied on these friends of mine to help me flesh out the characters and flesh out those songs. So that's how it starts. And when COVID happened, after we had staged it and everything, and my mentor Charles Randolph Wright had sort of helped us take it from stage one to stage two and get some attention on it. There was this emphasis on just continuing to rework the material, continuing to stay updated, but still create something that's timeless. So what I worked on a
Yes.
lot with Charles specifically, who's a brilliant playwright. He directed Motown the musical. Like he's done a lot of amazing stuff. And he and I really talked through, okay, how do you create something that feels relevant and urgent but timeless? So we had to go through and do like, I probably wrote 15 drafts of this thing, and there are
Wow.
and there are 20 songs that are unreleased and haven't made it to the light of day, and we call those trunk songs, and they're just sitting in a trunk somewhere waiting to be released. But no,
An
it's
album.
really, yeah, exactly. It's the B-side. But we just, it was like a really involved process that just involved a lot of listening, just people listening to each other, and I think for a story that's so youth oriented, it's important that I had a team that was willing to listen to the young people in the room, and the young people in the room to be willing to listen to their elders. So we had a nice balance throughout the entire process.
And when I was watching, I would say what would be so cool is like a tour.
I think of like when I was a kid, the Glee cast did a tour. Do you, if you
Yes.
like it reminds me of that. Like if we could get all these influencers, together to do, I think
Yes.
that'd be so cool. And the amazing part of it is like, you don't sure Cheryl Porter can sing, but like she can sing. Like she's amazing in this movie. And like
Yes.
to really
Oh my
see
gosh.
like you're like I was really blown away by, because sometimes when you cast someone, you don't know what they're going to be like in person, you don't know what they're going to sound like in person. Everyone in the cast, not only were they so kind, so giving, so warm, willing to be a part of the film community, but really creating a nice environment to work in, but everyone was so damn talented, so it was so easy to just sit there and like enjoy the shoot and just say, all right, like you do your thing, like I don't even need to touch it, you just go. And like I think a tour would be great because all of these actors in this movie are so talented. And yes, they're
Mhm.
amazing at what they do, online, but they're also really good at what they do, in this movie. I think that there's a little bit of me sort of scattered in every character. I would definitely say I'm the closest to Danny, just because he's,
Yeah.
he's the one that goes, into the lion's mouth and comes out. And yeah, that feeling of just, imposter syndrome, right? Like, am I really meant to be here? Am I as good as people are telling
Mhm.
me? Or is this thing that, I really believe in, does that matter? So yeah, like that I really relate to. But I also relate to those questions of, identity and expression, that Jupe has, for example, where he's like, hey, like, what's the kind of stuff that what I'm saying helpful to somebody, or is it just
Mhm.
self-serving? Luna, I'm always looking at myself in the mirror. I'm like, do I look good today? I think I look good, but I could look terrible. So I'm like, I'm always concerned with that. But every character has really, pieces of me throughout this. And I think, everyone in every generation, whether you're someone's parent, or you are someone's kid, there's something to relate to for everyone in this movie. And I think the most important thing is when the movie cuts to black at the end of the movie, after you've heard Just Like Me, which is that beautiful song about, do you, once you know what you're
Yeah.
gonna be like, does the childhood version of you still want to be that person? When it cuts to black, the conversations start after that. That's when you have dialogue about social media, about, mental health, about expression and identity and community and friendship and authenticity. So I'm really happy that after the movie ends is when I think the real interesting stuff really happens, which is that dialogue.
Well, again, I'm so honored to speak with you today. I'm excited about 1665. Everybody can go watch on Amazon Prime. How will you be celebrating?
Oh man, I'm listening to a lot of the songs in the car. I think that's like the best thing. It's just like, driving around. I live in LA still, so I'm stuck in traffic a lot. So, that's my favorite thing to do. But yeah, celebrating. I mean, what I've been saying to everybody is like, hey, like if you're gonna watch this movie, please like reach out to me. Like I'm an available artist. I'm on Instagram. Like you can find me super easily. If you have a question, if you have a thought, if you relate to something, like reach out. Like that's I think really important. And as someone who's going to continue telling stories about this kind of genre and this type topic, all conversation is good conversation. And because you're going to be able to license it now as a musical, your high school might be doing this show. And I think that the best way to celebrate this story for me is to like continue seeing it being told and finding new ways to talk about it. So I'm just super excited about the new life of this project, that this baby of mine that's 5 years old. You know, it's 5 years old and it's finally releasing itself to the world. But you know what I say about it is like it's a constantly evolving process. Like when we released it, you know, we had to update a few things because some of the references were outdated. So like it's constantly updating, it's constantly evolving, as is the story of social media. But I think this will act as a really good kind of foundation starting place for, you know, 20 years from now, people are like, what influencers? Where did they start? Where did that come from? 1660 Vine. That's the reference point, you know?
Yes. And how can they license? Can you tell us how they can?
Yeah. So you can go to the MTI website and you start the process with them just as you would do with any other musical. I remember when I was doing college theater, we would always be so nervous that MTI would let us license the show because there's always a bunch of different difficulties around doing that sometimes. But no, I'm so honored to be a part of, you know, that amazing list of shows that you can go do. And whether you're a high school or a college student, an amateur production, a first class production, you can tell this story now yourself, with the movie as a great guide, as sort of a nice reference point to say, oh, like how does you know, Maya Lagerstam, who plays Luna, how does she do Lucky, and how do I want to do Lucky my way? And you know, everyone, that, I think that's the beauty of theater, is you can take a story that exists and make it your own and express it in a separate way. And I think this musical specifically really empowers that process, which is you're not just playing a character, you are embodying a person and you're putting your own identity into a person's voice. So I'm super excited about the stage life of this. But you do have to go watch the movie first on Amazon Prime.
Yeah,
To
you
know,
gotta go watch it
to
first.
know where you're at. So there you go.
Well, I want to thank you for taking out the time to talk with me, the Nikki Rich Show, Nikki of the Nikki Rich Show. Such an honor. You know, again, congratulations on everything you're doing. And I'm just so pumped up about 1669.
Thank you.
Everybody go
Well,
watch on
I will be
Amazon.
back. I will be back. Absolutely. Thank you so much.